I'm a chemical engineer as well. I was wondering if brokerage activities fall under the scope of CleanTech. I mean, if existing companies that have a particular technology and you have the contacts and you can make a viable business plan, does that fall under CleanTech?
I think it does, right? I mean, you're just trying to provide a service that connects your customer with.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, just to give you an example, I don't know whether that kind of completely answers your question, but as long as you prove to us that there's kind of a CleanTech sort of benefit to it, then it's clearly business. I mean, it's not, as I said, again, it's not all about like creating the cutting edge technology and having patents for everything. I think last year, or a couple of years ago, we had a team from LBS creating, sort of identifying in the solar space, the manufacturers and the end customers and I think developers, and sort of just coming up with a business plan to connect all of these people together. Okay. And today, actually, I think the startup exists.
Because basically a lot is possible with life cycle analysis, because you can show a lot of things, basically. So. Yeah. Okay.
Last question, please.
Just questions at hand. I actually, inspired by Nick at M-Pesa, I set up my own money transfer remittance company. It's an online tech thing in 2009, and it's sort of now in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Nigeria. And one of the questions I had was, from an investment point of view, we decided to bootstrap because everyone told us it was an incredibly bad idea. So actually, we didn't like the idea of taking other people's money for something that had been so unanimously told us was a really bad idea. But what is the sort of, from a tempo point of view, from an investor point of view, had we gone the other way of trying to get VCs or private equity or patient capital, I mean, what does that number look like under your, on your desk? I mean, is that like a 3 years, 5 years? I mean, Nick's told you about some of the scars that they must have worn at M-Pesa from the research and development point of view, but I mean, how do you marry the two when maybe to make a difference, potentially a lifetime thing, but actually you've got to hit a mark of 15% just to.
So it depends on the investor. A classic financially driven VC would look for 3 to 5 years, I'd say. Some VCs are more socially driven or fintech driven. They'll go up to 7. So would we as strategics. We take between 5 to 7 years. But beyond that, it gets a bit challenging, I'd say. You might have more angels that just like like it. Would you echo that?
Yeah, I would agree. And in the consumer, especially the mobile consumer space, 18 months is enough to know whether it's going to work or not. And you've got to be prepared to kill it if it isn't working and move on or iterate your business model quite radically. And maybe less so in the clean tech space. I think as we were talking about earlier, the technology is moving all the time, but at what point it becomes commercially viable is, there's such a range of different technologies out there in this space. It's hard to come up with a single answer. But just your point. If you're working hard on something for 18 months and you still can't find the viable model, I think it's time to move on. Lots of people look at M-Pesa actually and say, well, why aren't we seeing it in multiple places? Actually, there's a lot happening in mobile money now, but it's still human natures to expect things to happen really, really quickly. And it never does. It's always much more complex with different stakeholders, different regulatory environments, different cultures, even where you're taking the same technology out. Its acceptance in the marketplace is highly variable. But I would say, 18 months, that's a sort of minimum end, especially in the sort of tech end of the world I live in. You've got to be quite hard, and if you haven't discovered it after 18 months. So you've been going since 2009, I think.
No, we're not. I mean, we're still here, or we're but the point is, what's interesting there is the anthropology of it all. I mean, is that something that you built into your business plan, or who is your customer? How do they behave? The behavioural elements. Is that a process that you sort of stumbled upon, or did you actually?
No, you have to discover it almost. There's a great writer, there's a blog, Steve Blanco, this guy who writes in the States, and it's all about customer discovery. And he sort of writes about spend time looking for that customer, because you know, you can do all this segmentation at a very high level, but you know, it all comes back to people showing you what they like and don't like about that product, and then you can iterate around that. So, but yeah, you discover it through trial, and cookie cutter models don't exist. I mean, the textbooks will all say build a platform, the shared service, which is the way we built M-Pesa, and we could lift it up, take it and drop it in another market, and it's going to work. It doesn't work. And put aside all the corporate politics between a Vodafone Kenya and a Vodafone Tanzania. You know, they're two completely different beasts you're trying to deal with, different organisational structures. And so when you try and roll a product out across companies even, it's difficult. So staying focused, improving a model, and just looking hard for the bits of it which you can lift and transfer. But it doesn't mean you're going to get everything right in one market.
But I think that any VC would appreciate that your business model will evolve, that it is not fixed in stone, and that it's a learning process, and that it will be different in 6, 7, 8 months.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's okay. It's not a problem.
So I'm afraid we're running out of time, so thank you for the question. Please join me to thank the speakers. I think Rita just went out of the room half time. She will come back. So please.